Welcome to a special edition of the Inside Out podcast in celebration of International Women's Day. Today we're going to be diving into an interesting and important conversation. Is the channel moving away from diversity and inclusion? And what is Exertis doing to keep driving change? Hi guys, nice to have you here. So I think it'll probably be good if we start off with some introductions. My name's Alicia Waring. I am a new business onboarding specialist within retail and the consumer division. So it's nice to have you guys here.
Hi, I'm Rosie Gordon. I'm a business manager in our Accessories BU.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. My name's Dominic. I'm the Sales and Alliance Director for our Cybersecurity division.
Hi, I'm Rachael Perrett. I'm an employee relations business partner within our people function.
Amazing, brilliant. It's so good to have you all here. So if we just start off with a question to you then, Rosie, can you tell us a bit about International Women's Day, what it's about and what we're going to be doing to celebrate Exertis?
Yeah, definitely. So International Women's Day is celebrated every year on the 8th of March. It's a way just to look at amazing achievements that women have done politically, economically, worldwide. It's also a great way to look at how can we accelerate equality within women within the channel and across the world. For Exertis this year, I'm really excited. We've got loads of different events going on across all of our sites. But what we've done is we've shared data on inspirational women throughout history. We've also got some facts for women within the channel and how we're affected by everyday life. And then also we've got some thank you cards. So they're a way to empower the women within our business, and they're just a way to say thank you and thank you for everything you do for us.
Amazing. That sounds fantastic. I bet you're excited.
Yeah, really excited. We've had loads of women across the business who have got involved, given us ideas of how we can make this work for both our in-office workers and also people who work remotely. So everyone's able to see what we're doing and also receive the cards.
Brilliant.
And to say thank you.
Brilliant. And what channels are going to be getting involved there?
We've got all of our SLT getting involved, making sure that the channels, whether it's in B2B, retail, commercial, our warehouse workers also included as well. So anyone and everyone, just to really celebrate the women within our business.
Fantastic. Really inclusive. Brilliant. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see what's involved. Fantastic. Thank you. Dom, so a question for you. Well, you and I talk often about D&I and the importance of it. Obviously, we do a lot of work within that area, but we also speak about D&I fatigue, which seems to be something at the moment. With all that in mind, do you think the channel is moving away from D&I and the focus on it?
I would say that there are differences. So in terms of the fatigue, I definitely see that has been some with the number of events that have happened, whether it be online or physical events that have taken place. But if you just look at some of the statistics that are coming out today, you look at our newer generation of people that are coming through, the Gen Z and the millennials, up to 44% of those individuals that are now looking for an employer see D&I as something that needs to be in place within an organisation to make them attractive to each other. So I think it's really important that businesses and Exertis continue to lean in to initiatives like this. I think it helps both from an external perspective in attracting the right talent into the organisation, but also internally it raises significant awareness to the individuals that are already working with us as well.
Absolutely. So also just speaking to the part that around D&I fatigue, I think it's important to recognise that it kind of goes into two different camps. You've got people that are getting involved in volunteering and they're kind of feeling like it's not potentially making the impact that they wanted it to. And then you've got the other side of it where the people that are on the receiving end of all the activities and everything, and everyone asking them to get involved in lots of different things, and it can be overwhelming. So I think it's about just trying to find that happy medium and also putting our time and effort into things that we know that are going to make some sort of measurable impact.
Yeah, I think it's important that we focus in on the important parts of D&I and ensuring that actually the message that we're trying to convey to the our own internal staff and also externally is the right message, and that it's impactful and that it's well received. And I think that's really what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to, as I said before, attract the right talent into the organisation, but actually represent the right people in the right way within the organisation as well. And as I say, I think it's imperative. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's something that we should all be focusing in on and leaning into as an organisation. So, yeah.
Rosie, what are your thoughts on that?
I think for me personally, I've definitely seen a fatigue across different areas of the business. But there's also so many amazing things going on, and it's how involved you are with kind of the events that we're doing and things like that. Do you actually see it? But we hear all the time with the events that we have been a part in that other businesses see us as leaders in D&I, which I think is so incredible, where I've been here 8 years now, and I think from where we were to where we are now, it's incredible. And to be said as that we're leaders, I think, okay, what else can we be doing? How else can we work with other partners to look at what they're doing, help bring them up, or are they doing something that we're not, that also could get our people involved more? What can we do to make sure that we've not just, I think I said to you before, Dom, if you've seen the finish line of a race, you wouldn't just suddenly stop. And we can't see that finish line yet, and I think it's a long way away. But I don't think we're ready to stop at all yet.
No, absolutely not.
And I think to Rosie's point as well, like to kind of continue with the sporting kind of analogy, like D&I is very, you can liken it to kind of a muscle. Like when you first start to like talk about it and do things and get involved, it starts to feel like a little bit like, oh, okay, like I can feel like I'm working this muscle. It's maybe slightly out of my comfort zone, but the more you do it, the more people you engage, the more it becomes like a collective culture that we're trying to build. It becomes more second nature. It becomes more muscle memory. It just becomes part of the ethos of business.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is a finish line.
No.
I think it's a constantly evolving journey that we as a business and everybody else has to collectively go on as well, because it evolves, and you've got to get better, and you've got to sponsor people and lift people up and give people the responsibilities and the different experiences that they should have as well. So
Okay, well, actually, that takes me nicely into the next bit that I wanted to talk about, and that was like the ERGs and the type of work that we do there. And so, Dom, you're actually the sponsor, one of the sponsors for the Women's ERG. How did that come about?
It was as a leader of a business, so of Exertis cybersecurity. Sort of wanted to understand how I could get involved in D&I and champion and sponsor people and share experiences and lift people up. So it was a encounter with the Women's ERG many months ago when I was introduced to it, and it was great to be sort of welcomed in and to try and support in any way that I could. Both at a local level in terms of within my own organisation, but also externally to the wider business and outside our own business as well. So, and if I look at my own business unit, we're quite diverse in terms of male and female, and also ethnicity as well. So it's sort of trying to support those people within the organisation to be open, to talk, to give them safe spaces, to lift them up. So, So yeah, it was a chance encounter, but really, really happy to be part of the Women's ERG and supporting them in the amazing things that they're doing.
Brilliant. So, Rosie, last year there was quite a bit of focus or even going forward, there's quite a bit of focus within the Women's ERG around gaining more male allies. Why do you think that's important?
I think both professionally and personally, I think being an ally to a group such as the Women's ERG, you can learn so much to be an ally, but it's also championing the women around you, again, both professionally and personally. And it's making the environment equal, it's making it a comfortable space. And it just means that if you're an ally, you might be in a room and actually you notice a conversation might be going in a certain route and there might be, I don't know, one female in that room and you think, actually, I'm confident enough to say, okay, enough now, we actually need to talk about this. Whereas maybe that one female in that room might not have the confidence to do that yet. But then also it's making sure that when you are looking at your team, do you have representation of women there? Because when you look at the stats about having a diverse team, actually that's where we see the wins. So it's being aware and being able to support the people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say as well, so for me personally, with my experience with allyship is around, so Dom is actually my mentor within our Inclusion Pathways programme. And I think it's been really helpful to have a different male perspective, like from a totally different area. I already have quite a few men within my my business area and the area that I work, but it's nice to have a direct mentor that's within a completely different business unit, completely separate, that I can go to and, ask for advice and just discussions around my career. We have lots of discussions around my career where my mind changes constantly, but Dom's quite good at kind of like taking a step back and asking questions that make me sort of reflect and think, right, okay, is this something that I want, or do I want it to go into something else? It's been really, really invaluable. So I do think just things like that is definitely important to have within the business. So Dom, what do you think the importance is of allyship?
Yeah, so I think for me it's about advocating rights for women. As a leader of a business, I think it's important that I can utilise my personal network to help support and sponsor as much as possible. You talked a couple of minutes ago about the mentee and the mentor programme. We've spent a lot of time talking around your career and everything that comes with it as well. So, it's for me, it's about being a support mechanism in a safe space that can help to provide advice or coach, and then to Rosie, what you were saying before around the statistics for high performing teams. I think it's about 25% that it increases if you have a diverse team. And so there's that. And then for me, it's around representation, equality, and trying to strive for a fair balance within an organisation to help support.
Yeah. What about your thoughts on that, Rachael?
I think probably building mostly on Rosie's and Dom's points already, but I think from my perspective, allyship in its purest form is you've got that advocate, that trusted partner throughout your employment career or your life pathway, that will talk about you and in a room full of opportunities, even if you're not in there. Ultimately, with kind of the most kind of pure and advocating way, intended, like I said, to uplift, to support, to make sure that everybody has got the equal opportunities that their skills, their experience deserve.
I think that's really important as well when you say about people advocating for you when you're not in the room. And actually, something that happened quite recently was my boss said to me, I was talking about you the other day, saying about some of the great work you're doing. There's nothing nicer than that feeling. You're like, oh, okay, thank you. You sort of like beam a little bit. And yeah, I do think that's really, really important. It's such an important element of it. And it's, it's only going to make the company better. It's only going to make it a better place to work, and then, like you said, it's going to make it more higher performing. So yeah, it's definitely an important part.
And we've got so many programs. So for myself, I'm actually part of the Nexus program, which is a DCC female accelerator program, and it was from one of my directors who put me forward for that. I love to nominate myself and stuff, but it was so nice for someone to actually put me forward for something. And the opportunities and the things that I've learned from being on that program, honestly, have been so incredible. I've met people from DCC Tech, so around the world. We've all met. We've had things such as the +1 program. So I would ask someone if I could be their +1. So I would then join them at events or meetings that I wouldn't usually in my day-to-day, and hearing language that other people were using, understanding what kind of conversations they're having within their meetings. It's been really good. And to say that we have a business that does something like that, I've spoken to my friends and my family about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish we had that. Or it's been so good and so exciting, and it's still ongoing. So watch this space.
I think that's a really interesting point, because if I look in my business unit, there's female representation that have been through our upgrade program. So over the past couple of years, there's a few females that have been through that, and they've learned valuable business skills, and they've networked, and they've grown their network as well, and that puts them on an accelerated career path to managerial responsibilities. And we've got another female representative that's going on it in the next cohort as well. So programs like that from Exertis really help to lift up people, and give them give people the opportunity that is there in front of them.
Brilliant.
And I guess it is available to everyone.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you get involved? Making sure that we're supporting our teams and everything, to say, we're giving you that time. We want you to succeed, and we want you to grow and learn. And I think going back to the allyship there, is you need those allies, and you need people to champion you, to make you feel confident enough to, okay, I'm gonna apply for it, or I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Which again makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And it's the awareness piece, isn't it? As a leader, it's about looking around your organisation and going, who can go on that career path? Who's ready for it as well? How can I champion them and sponsor them into that programme? And then how do I support them on that journey as well? Because at the end of them, I'm sure it's the same at the Nexus programme as well, at the end of it, they've learned so many new valuable skills that actually they now want to put them into practice, and whether that be a different role or increased responsibilities as well. So it's just ensuring that you're supporting those individuals on that journey.
That's where like the mentorship kicks in as well, doesn't it? Yeah. You've gained all these skills. What do you do next? And that's where you can help people and coach people on what to do next with that stuff.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at people's careers pathways, I think anecdotally there's some sort of statistic that for comparing females applying for job roles versus males, and the proportion of meeting the requirements and the job responsibilities, that so when a female looks at it, they'll feel that they'll have to meet at least in excess of, I think it's like 80 to 85% of the requirements before they'll consider applying. Whereas compared to a male identifying individual would probably go at a much lower percentage. So it's again, it's those valued conversations, that allyships, that promotion to go, you know, yes, you can do this. This is how I can support you. You know, you're ready or you're capable, and given that confidence to make that leap.
And that's where as well, I think, as well as, you know, allyship, you've got the ERGs and, like, you know, the women's ERG, and within that you've got women championing women. And that's also equally important, you know, because if you do have women that are in leadership roles, it's that whole, you know, bringing other women along with you, and also getting involved in the mentor programs, and, you know, getting involved in like Nexus and things like that. It's that's also going to help drive women through and up into leadership roles. So yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, I think it's giving each other the confidence to do it. And I think when you see others, you think, well, if they can, I can. Again, I spoke about my competition or my competitiveness earlier. Well, if someone else is doing it, why can't I? And I guess it's having someone else saying, well, you can, and pushing you a little bit further.
Yeah. I think what you were saying there around, like, looking around and thinking, well, if they can do it, I can do it. There needs to be more support. I'm not sure everybody sees the world in that way. I definitely think there's individuals that maybe look at something and they go, that's way beyond my capabilities, or maybe I'm not ready for that. But, you know, ERGs or programs and the support mechanisms that we have around us as individuals and as a collective, we should lean into that a little bit more and support each other. And actually, you know, we can achieve anything that we need to. We just need to help each other to do that.
So I think we can't really leave here without kind of asking the question, what is it like to be a woman in the channel at this very moment?
Obviously, I've spoken about the Nexus program that I'm on, and how much of a difference that's made to me. From what I see from 8 years ago as today, we definitely have a lot more women in those roles within sales that traditionally were very male-heavy roles. Again, I still think there's a really long way to go for us to see more women in those higher senior leadership team roles within a board. So I definitely want to continue to see more women accelerating within those roles. I think there are so many great things that Exertis are doing to help encourage women. We've spoken about mentorship programs. I've spoken about Nexus. I can't stop talking about Nexus. Our ERGs, things like that, where we're doing things to make a difference. And I do genuinely believe that it is making a difference. So I think it's a good place to be. But I think that we need to keep accelerating, and keep driving. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Rachael?
I think I've probably got a slightly different lens in that obviously I work in a people function which is primarily comprised of majoritively female group. So, but obviously coming into Exertis, coming up to 3 years ago now, I echo kind of Rosie's sentiment in that it's changed so much. So stepping into Exertis 3 years ago, there wasn't the ERG community. There wasn't necessarily a huge mental health first aid community, for example. And to see over those 3 years everything start to build and grow, and obviously we're seeing some of the efforts being realised, and there's that. You can see that everything is kind of all the efforts of the ERGs, the individuals. And I think that's important to note as well, that those communities, they're not run by a subset of the business. It's not a business unit in its own right. It's people coming together from all of those business units who have got a passion and who want to make change, coming together and really driving that. And you've seen that, and again, there is still a long way to go. And to Dom's point, even at the beginning of this conversation, like, there is no finish line, but it's how can we maintain that momentum? How can we maintain that focus and make sure we're putting our efforts into the right places?
And I guess for me, it's making people aware that we're doing that. We're trying. We just need more people, more focus, and more people involved. Because the more people we've got involved, the quicker we can get it done.
I think for me as well, personally, my experience as a woman in the channel, it's been really positive. And I think, like you say, because we've got, you know, the ERGs, and because we've got these programs in place, and, you know, my experience as well, just in general within the workforce, it is very positive. You know, everyone's really nice, really supportive. I've been lucky enough to have people behind me driving me. But then on the other side of that as well, I am quite a confident person. I am someone who, if I want to do something, I would just put myself in there. You know, I won't ask for permission. I'll just get in there and do it, like with the D&I stuff, like with the ERGs. So I think for me, the important thing that I try to do is look at the people that aren't so outgoing, the people that aren't as confident, and the ones that might need more of a voice. It's like, what can we do with those people to help drive them? So, you know, my experience is very positive, because I do a lot of driving myself as well as have a lot of support. However, you know, who are the people out there that aren't as confident and might not have as much support? How do we find out who those people are, and then how do we bring them along for the ride, and really help to drive those people forward? You know, so it's things like this, and recognising things like International Women's Day, that does help that, I think.
And we talk about, like, women in leadership, for example, and wanting obviously to grow our internal talent and get people into those positions. I think from personal experience, yes, I appreciate I'm probably from a very kind of female heavy function, which might not be necessarily the norm within the wider kind of industry. But ultimately also, when I'm contributing to senior leadership team meetings, there's an awareness that you might be one of the few females in that role. And like Alicia said, like, thankfully I'm fairly outspoken, and I will try and contribute, but it's like you said, having that awareness that, you know, actually does somebody else have an opportunity to come in and contribute, and inviting into those spaces, and that's the responsibility for us all in those leadership roles.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well, I think it takes us on nicely to my next question for you, Rachael. Obviously, like you say, being heavily in the people function, what kinds of things are Exertis doing at the moment to help to drive change and drive D&I?
I mean, there's a whole range of initiatives, some which maybe is more well known, and some which maybe it isn't as much. So obviously, I think personally, from my own reflections, 2024 was an absolute incredible year for us realising some of the efforts and initiatives. I mean, we've won so many awards, particularly at the CRN Women in Industry. We've had multiple kind of highly commended. We've had Champion of the Years taking place. I guess some of the focuses that we've taken, particularly recently over like the last 6 months, actually, we've partnered with a variety of kind of trusted partners, such as Token Man, obviously to help to drive the allyship agenda. They've done sessions on like masculinity in the workplace, and talking to our employees around the importance of men getting involved in that diversity and inclusion conversation. We've had a variety of policy reviews, policy updates. We've launched menopause policies, fertility policies. We've been working with our Enable ERG colleagues around developing a carers leave policy, time off for dependents. We've also recently done a diversity and inclusion pulse survey, and it was quite apparent coming out of that pulse survey that there were some areas where underrepresented individuals felt like they weren't getting either the equality of opportunities, or were maybe feeling like they couldn't open up to provide that honest but anonymous feedback. And so what we did as a business off the back of that was we set up listening groups, particularly with a focus around flexibility in the workplace. Obviously, we know that generally speaking, women bear the burden of childcare responsibilities for the most part. And so flexibility is something that people really value in that space, and also around career advancement. So again, another area where, you know, potentially women may benefit from that more attuned focus.
Amazing.
I think I'm quite shocked at how much you've said, like, that we're focusing on, because obviously policies, they're not always the most exciting thing that you want to read about, if I'm completely honest. But actually, that's so incredible that we've done so much and that you can say that. And I think, gosh, maybe I should be looking at them, because what is going to affect me? And it might not affect me today, but could it affect me in a year's time, 6 months? Like, all these things, or someone with me in my team, and they might say, oh, I'm struggling with this, and actually I could say to them, well, we have a policy that can support you on that. So I know I've got a bit of homework after this.
And I think, look, and that's the thing, it's all around that openness of communication. It's all about that inquisitiveness, and creating that safe space where it's okay to ask those questions. So, and what we're trying to do as well, particularly as a people function, is making sure that our managers and our leadership communities feel comfortable to kind of broach some of the more challenging conversations with their team members, be it from end of year reviews. We're encouraging those career conversations to come out of it, obviously individual development plans, but also some of the more personal elements, such as kind of having a wellbeing conversation. Nobody tells you how to have a wellbeing conversation, but sometimes that can be the real turning point in having that trusted relationship, whereby you really can accelerate if you feel like you've got that support in the workplace.
I think it's part of the development of everybody individually, certainly at that managerial and senior and leadership level as well. I think it's about equipping them with the right tools to go and have them conversations, because it's those conversations that then change the output of an individual as well, and the positivity and the negativity and how it's viewed. Some of the, I'm a bit like you, some of the things I So, you know, but they're all amazing things, aren't they? That actually, from a communication perspective, we should absolutely be shouting about those amazing initiatives and policy changes that are coming in as well. And just the sheer amount of awards that we've won is incredible as well. So, yeah.
I think as well, we've also got quite a few resources that are really good for all employees, but specifically for women. So the menopause, ERG, you know, a lot of what they've done with women. I've been on some of the chats, and it's just amazing, all the support that they've been given. But off the back of that, because we have partnered with Peppy, you know, it's not just, you know, support and being able to speak to each other. It's actually, have you gone to Peppy? You can have a referral and actually getting like an actual doctor to give you advice and refer you and get medication, whatever that they need. From what I've heard, it has just been absolutely invaluable. Stuff like that is just so important. And then recently we've just set up the fertility ERG. Again, that's going to be invaluable for men and women, but for that support for you know, people that are going through tough times with those things. So yeah, I think as a company, like we're really doing some great stuff in those areas for sure.
And I think with something like the fertility ERG, they're having conversations that maybe have been a bit taboo or we've not wanted to talk about before. And as much as you say, when you're in work, you are your work mind or whatever, you can't leave those things at home. And to know that you've got a support network or a community around you that you can have conversations and ask open questions to, it's just incredible that we're able to offer that.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. That's been such an interesting chat. I've really enjoyed it. But I think to wrap up, we'll kind of go round and I'll ask you first, Rosie. What are your plans on, or how are you going to continue to accelerate action moving forward?
I think for me, I'm going to continue to play it forward. So the things that I've learned, the opportunities that I've been able to be given, is encourage others, teach them what I've learned, and then also encourage them to get involved in opportunities. And even events like International Women's Day. I've really enjoyed organising it this year. And again, I said it's an annual thing. So I'll be encouraging my friends, my colleagues to get involved in it for next year. What can we do to make it bigger and better?
Brilliant.
For me, I think it will continue to be an advocate for female representation, certainly both in my business unit and external to that as well. Be a good support mechanism as much as I can, and support and lead as much as possible, and provide opportunities where I can as well. And yeah.
Brilliant.
And for me, it's going to be a renewed focus and continued focus on supporting both my team, the wider business, to kind of create that empowerment and feedback culture. Obviously, we need to empower individuals to feel comfortable and confident in the spaces within which they are. So be that in the office space, be that working from home, interactions with customers and with vendors, or just interactions between team members or between a manager and their team member, to really continue to have those high quality, valuable conversations where people feel open and comfortable to bring their whole self to work.
Amazing. And I think for me, as chair to the Ethnicity ERG and a lead within the ERGs, I work really closely with them all. So I'm just going to, I think what I want to do is just continue to collaborate and support with the others. We often talk about intersectionality. So naturally, you've got women, men, ethnic backgrounds, people with disabilities within all areas, and especially as part of the ERG. So I'm just going to do what I can to support them all and just keep driving it forward, and just working with others. Thank you for tuning in on our special edition Inside Out podcast celebrating International Women's Day. We're excited to keep you on our journey with us.